Okay, let's get to other big news today, turning our attention to the ongoing war in the Middle East. Now, our focus today is primarily about the fact that there is an increased American presence in and around the area. Another 3,500 American military personnel have arrived in the region. They join the already 50,000 U.S. troops that are in the Middle East. So let's get further context on this and turn to CBC senior correspondent Sasha Petrusik, who is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Sasha, put this troop buildup into context for us. What are we to make of all of this?
Well, Natasha, the big question is whether all of these troops that are there and the new ones arriving, whether this is part of a plan to launch some kind of a ground offensive, something that U.S. President Donald Trump railed against during various campaigns for years now, but it looks like that's a decision that he needs to make. The Washington Post is reporting that there is a plan that's been drafted by the Pentagon for some kind of a ground operation, not necessarily a full offensive, but landings and the occupation perhaps of islands, those kinds of things. As far as the numbers are concerned, well, that is, there's a bit of math here involved. 3,500, as you say, did arrive today. There's another 1,000 to 2,000 paratroopers who are on their way. The 50,000 who are in the region already, most of those are support personnel. They're not the ones who are going to be fighting. So really the numbers are a lot smaller than they might sound. So maybe enough to take an island or a defense facility of some kind, a military facility on the mainland, but not enough to launch an actual attack, especially when you consider that Iran has something like, they claim to have something like 1 million soldiers. So that would be quite the operation. And on top of that, the United States is not bringing in, at least not so far, the heavy equipment for that kind of a ground operation. Iran has responded to this quite defiantly, quite angrily, as it has responded to just about everything the U.S. has said over the last few weeks. The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament, what he had to say is that the enemy, meaning the United States, openly sends a message of negotiation, as Donald Trump has over the past week, and secretly plans a ground attack. So he's basically saying that they are waiting to set them on fire, meaning the U.S. soldiers. A lot of hyperbole here, but, you know, when you consider Iran's history of fighting other countries, look back to the 1980s when they waged an 8-year war against Iraq. 500,000 people died in all of that. So there is staying power, and even if they don't have as many weapons, they could still be a problem for Donald Trump if he chooses that route of actually fighting the war on the ground.
Okay, so if we move a little bit further east and we go to Islamabad, we've got a meeting going on with 4 regional powers getting together, not really working on a peace deal necessarily, but how to manage the war moving forward. What's your best assessment of what's happening there?
Well, I think they are trying to come up with, lay the foundation at least for some sorts of talks. Yes, these are the leaders, or the foreign ministers rather, of Turkey, of Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Pakistan, and they are trying to figure out a way to contain this conflict, maybe even to open the door to a diplomatic solution as opposed to ramped up fighting. They don't have a real a say in all of this directly, but Pakistan has played a very direct role in passing messages back and forth, and it's quite possible that that could expand into some kind of talks, but we are very, very far away from that, and I think they realize that because they're really talking more about how do we make sure that ships go through the strait while all of this conflict is going on. Natasha?
Okay, CBC senior correspondent Sasha Petrusik joining us from Jerusalem. Thank you, Sasha.